All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome to the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we'll cross this time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight, right here from the studios of your hometown radio, Classic 1220. In St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. If you'd like to send me an email, the email address is xzone@classic1220.ca. And I love getting your emails. Mind you, some of them, I don't know where you guys get your ideas from, but one of these days I'll write a book. No, I won't put your name in there. I won't put your email address in there, but I certainly will give an anonymous listener credit. Well, now, my first guest tonight is Dakota Fransden. We had the pleasure of speaking to Dakota not that long ago. And Dakota, welcome back to the show. Great having you with us.
Oh, thanks for having me on again, Rob.
Dakota, for the listeners who may not have had the opportunity of listening to you the last time, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Dakota Fransden. For a little over a decade now, I've been a paranormal investigator, as well as the founder of the Bald and Bonkers Network, LLC, with a very unusual story in regards to the ET phenomenon that seems to have stumped even military experts.
And what would those experiences be that have stumped military experts?
The fact that I got an alien baby mama and 3 kids somewhere out there, apparently.
You didn't practice birth control, did you?
Would it work for on the ETs?
I don't know. I don't know, but I thought it was the thing to say, being a father, a grandfather, and a great grandfather. What else am I supposed to say? Mind you, I wanted to say, "Hey, good for you," but so alien babies, an ET mama, and here you are doing a radio show called Bald and Bonkers.
Seems anticlimactic when you put it that way.
Yeah. So, tell me, what was it that drove you to this quest you're on into solving the universal problem of, are ETs real? Are UFOs really here? I mean, you know better than somebody else that they are here because you have to, you've got a family. How did you meet your family? I mean, how did you meet your wife, first of all?
Well, when it comes to when my quote-unquote wife and I met, it seems like there's a past life sort of carrying over into this one sort of situation. But the situation that brought my awareness that there's something, in fact, real in regards to this was an incident that took place when I was about 6 years old. And I ended up being taken from my house and somehow ended up at my grandparents' 30 miles away with barely any memory of how it happened until I started exploring, self-regression, trying to walk through exactly what happened, because A lot of people go to assume that maybe my parents just dropped me off while I
Mm-hmm.
was asleep, but I'll just say this. You don't necessarily forget hearing your mom scream because she can't figure out where you are, and your grandparents are confused as hell saying, he's right here. He says he came through the wall.
So this all started so many years ago, and my question to you is, I can understand, based on the number of people I've spoken to over the years, about how alien abductions work, how there's the paralysis, then there's the entities, then you're brought up through a wall or through the ceiling to the craft, and then you're returned back later on. I've never heard it before where somebody is abducted from their home and upon their return, they're brought to their grandparents. This has to be a rather unique feature of your story.
It definitely does seem to be a unique aspect. I've spoken with the UFO regression specialist, Lori McConnell, I believe her name
Sure.
was. She's told me a couple stories where the people were brought back, but they weren't put where they were taken from. There was one story, I believe in the 70s, she told me about where some 3 young boys ended up going missing from their backyard, only to be found inside a locked up swimming pool with the occupants of the house being across the country on vacation.
Oh, of course, then there's the story of Travis Walton, where he was abducted from the middle of a forest and he was returned into another part of the state of Arizona.
That's very true.
That's right. Why do you think you have been experiencing all these different phenomena over the years? What is special about Dakota Fransden that might lead to an answer or even a hypothesis?
Besides luck of the draw, it seems that people who have certain blood types, tend to be more favored when it comes to these abduction scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be one of the more prevailing theories that doesn't go into the more exotic explanations of, having a past life as an alien and coming down here as a star seed in order to help out with whatever's going on here on Earth.
Now, are you a blood type O plus?
O negative.
O negative. Maybe that's what it was, because we had a guest on a couple of nights ago who was also an abductee, and she was an O. Craig, what was it? O positive, O negative? No, I can't remember right now, but I know definitely it was an O, and that seems to be a very common characteristics with you abductees.
Yeah, it does seem to be the case, which checks out in the long run. I mean, O is supposed to be universally, we're supposed to be able to donate it to just about anybody for those of us who are O negative. So if you're going to be messing around with human genetics, that's kind of the blood you want.
Do you think that is what's happening with the ET interventions? Is they're messing around with our DNA and our genetics?
Allegedly, they've been messing around with it since the first Homo sapiens popped up on this earth, perhaps even longer.
What do you think the ultimate reason is, Dakota?
Universal integration.
Do you believe that these ETs pose a threat to humanity?
If they wanted to be a threat, they would have taken us out already.
So how did you meet your out-of-this-world wife?
She revealed herself through a regression session. The first one of my star family, as people keep labeling it, to show themselves, was my oldest daughter. She, to make a long story short, she seemed to intervene when I was attempting to take my own life. And the main thing that kind of shook me out of that mentality was seeing her bawling her eyes out, saying, "Daddy, please don't do it."
Yeah. Why were you going to take your own life?
There was lot of stuff going on at that time. I was only 12 years old, dealing with a lot of fights at school, situations at home wasn't that good. I was just looking for a way out, and apparently somebody out there was wanting to stick up and say something to keep me around.
So this happened when you were 12 years old, and your Star family child came to you and pled that you did not commit suicide. Am I right?
Yes.
How old were you when you had your first child then?
As far as I know, I don't have any.
I'm talking about star children.
That's what gets confusing. Even from back then, whenever I would try to deny this experience, there would always be like this nagging female voice in my head saying, "How dare you deny this child? This is your kid. Do you realize what all had to be done to help you get through out of that?" So the prevailing theory I could think of was some sort of weird time travel thing. And when it comes to that, I don't even know how to put together a timeline, because some people I've talked to speculated that I had the kids before I was born here on Earth, and they're just now coming in to say hello, or maybe I have them 300 years in the future and they're traveling back in time. I'm still confused on how this all works, allegedly.
Your story is one of many depths, many layers. And do you have any proof of anything that you tell us about your star family?
What I have as far as potential proof, granted, it's about as viable as a police sketch for a crime scene, but what I do have is renderings made through artificial intelligence that show, I say, within about 90% accuracy of what they look like, because I'm not the only one who's seen them. They showed up to other people.
The same family members?
Yep.
Who else have they showed themselves to and expressed their identity as being your star family?
There was my late grandfather. On the day he passed away, my daughter showed up just to try to comfort me, and she walked into the room where he was taking his last moments, suspecting that nobody was going to be able to see her. Then all of a sudden, my grandfather goes to point directly where she's standing. Everybody else in the room doesn't see anybody there, but he looks and says, "You need to get that little girl out of here now."
Wow.
There's also been a few other people that I've worked on investigations with who, after we had nasty dealings with one particular entity, reported seeing a little girl that matched my daughter's description, not knowing the story beforehand until I happened to pull out a photo of a couple of my cousins, because on my mom's side, we apparently have fairly strong genetics to where my uncle's kids look like they could be mine.
Dakota, I'm going to have to stop you here. We're going to have a cliffhanger. I have to take my first break here. An Exonation, Dakota Fransden is our special guest, and his website is, you ready for this? baldandbonkers.net, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. You're listening to us on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Dakota Fransden is our special guest. BaltonBonkers.net is his website. And Dakota, how old were you when your grandfather passed?
I was 15.
All right, so that would have been 3 years after you first met your daughter.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to it, the room he died in was the room I tried to take my own life in as well.
Wow. Did you notice a difference in your daughter? Well, first of all, were you at the hospital when your grandfather passed?
No, he actually passed away at his home.
All right, so were you there?
I was in the same house, yes, but I was in the other room trying to corral all the dogs and the other kids just so emergency services could get in and do what they needed to do.
Did you see your daughter at that time?
I did.
Had she grown any older? Had she changed her appearance?
From the first time I've seen her, no. She would look like she would be about the age of 6.
What did she physically look like? Did she look like a humanoid? Did she look like she was part human, part extraterrestrial? What'd she look like?
She could easily pass off as human. She had kind of wider set eyes than what you would expect for most people, but if we're just walking down the street and she were to just be playing on the playground, nobody would probably think much differently, to be honest.
And how does she communicate? Does she communicate telepathically? Does she articulate words? Or how is the communication done between you and your daughter?
There are some aspects where it is done telepathically, but there are times where she physically speaks. I have recordings of her voice caught on EVP, man.
What's it like holding her?
It's surreal. She has enough of a manifestation sometimes where I can physically feel her.
Right.
Like she goes to approach me, but it's almost like she's too light to be there. Like it's some sort of weird projection. I honestly don't know how to describe it.
Something like a holograph?
Something similar, yeah.
When's the last time you saw your daughter?
The last time she made an appearance was about 3 months ago.
And did she look the same as she did when you were 15 and 12?
That's where it gets even more confusing because lately she's been showing up looking like she's in her 20s.
Wow. And how about your wife? When's the last time you saw her?
For sure, it would have been Valentine's Day back in 2021.
And do you only have the daughter, or are there other children?
I have 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy.
And have you ever had the opportunity of being all together, mom, the 3 little your children, and then yourself?
Yeah, there's been times where I've been taken aboard a spacecraft and we're just spending time together.
Where is this spacecraft, and how do you know that they're coming to take you, or is this the typical alien abduction scenario?
When the craft goes to show, there's actually been couple times now where people have reported seeing what looks like just this bright light moving in the sky that can't be a plane or drone or anything like that.
Right.
And it would be parked literally right above my house. And when they go to show, there's almost like this ringing that starts in my ear, kind of like a tinnitus thing.
Right.
And whenever that seems to present itself, that's almost, I've come to understand it like it's their way of calling me on the phone to say, hey, we're here, get ready to be picked up.
Does this happen mostly when you're asleep or when you're awake, or it could happen any time of day or night?
It happens just about day or night, to be honest.
And when you're experiencing this abduction, do people still see you here on this on Earth, on this reality where you're supposed to be, or do you go missing for that period of time?
There's been times where people have come up to me asking where the hell I went because I somehow disappeared. It wasn't until recently I started working on actually being able to remember when this happens, but there's been times where I've apparently disappeared. Then there's also been times lately where I've been using a sleep recording app to where there's other voices talking to me at night when it happens.
So this app would basically act like a recording that you would get from an EVP?
That was the idea.
Wow. What do you see is in the future for you and your star family? Have you made any plans with them? Have they made any plans for you? How does it work?
One thing that a lot of people don't seem to get is that unless I'm gone completely crazy, and I'm honestly still haven't ruled that out 100%, there's an aspect to this where these beings that go to show up, they still have lives and jobs of their own. They can't always just come on a dime. But they have told me that once things are given the go-ahead, I will probably go away for a bit to go back to my home planet, for lack of a better word.
And where would that be?
It would be it's near the star Alcyone in the Pleiades.
That's a long way away. Wow. Now, I recall the last time you and I spoke, you also said that you actually went behind the steering wheel of a UFO.
I have.
What was that like?
The way their craft works, it integrates into your physical body. Basically, it acts like as an extension of the human body. So if you're wanting it to move forward, you have to act like the ship is a part of you in order to propel it forward.
And if you wanted to turn right or left, it would be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Same, wow. And how fast were you going, and where did you go?
We were... I don't recall seeing a speedometer on the spacecraft, but we were moving pretty fast. But the last time they let me take control was this past October while I was at an event down in Orlando. And there's people who may have actually caught video evidence of the craft I was in.
How did they do that?
It was a UFO conference that we were all went to, and they were just be sitting out in the courtyard trying to record anything they would see flying by. And little did one of them realize was that I could see them from the ship, and they were pointing their cell phones right at me. Obviously, there was I will say that we weren't close enough for them to be able to physically see me on the ship, but that was a little bit spooky to kind of find that bit out.
You previously told us in the interview that other people have seen your daughter. We talked about the passing of your grandfather, but you also said there were others. And who were the others?
I have a son who first showed up March of 2021, where I remember physically seeing him in the delivery room. Then about November of that same year, my youngest daughter showed up.
Does your wife accompany the children?
The oldest two, she did at first, but now that they've started showing themselves as adults, they have better control of themselves. But whenever the youngest goes to make an appearance, she still carries her around.
When they make their appearance, do you have the same feelings that a humanoid would have with their children? Do you feel a bond with them?
Oh, absolutely.
What do they tell you about their home planet?
In our case, they were essentially born as refugees. The reason why my wife and I got into this was because where we were, each of our planets, where we were from, was no longer safe, so we had to evacuate and link up with what's known as the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
Something like the Federation of Planets in Star Trek.
Allegedly to be loosely inspired by, yes.
Okay. You and I have to take our break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by, Dakota. And Exonation, our guest this hour is Dakota Fransden. His website, baldandbonkers.net. And if you'd like to send me an email, pro, con, believer, skeptic, my email address is xzone@classic1220.ca. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Right here on Classic 1220. We come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight. Strange, bizarre, mysterious, the unknown, the unexplained. That is what the X Zone is all about. It's a safety haven for those who have had experiences, encounters that they could not, they could not talk about before because there was no place that would take them seriously. Well, that's what we're here for. Dare to believe, dare to be heard is our tagline. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
One man to overthrow.
Earth changes. You're cracking me up. I'm starting to hear about all sorts of weird stuff. It's the bombs, it's the comets, it's the dark days upon us. Or so say the folks who all quote Nostradamus. Earth changes. Oh, prophets of doom. It sounds like disaster is your favorite tune. If it makes you feel better, get it out of your system and tell us about the next big cataclysm. Okay, the poles they will shift and volcanoes will bellow. LA's gonna disappear, New York turn to jello. There'll be tidal waves, earthquakes, fissures and cracks. The earth's gonna be screaming, you can all kiss my exes goodbye, bye, bye. Earth changes. If it's like they said, then there's no use of hiding out under your bed. But don't get depressed and run off to the bottle trying to tell us it's time to remodel. Earth changes, Earth changes. Less greed will be nifty and house up our peace. For a big polar shifty, a whole lot more love. And a big, big dose of patience. Coming alive to the joys of creation. Earth changes, Earth changes. And so can we. For all of the changes are in you and me. With so much sweet love, is it really surprising? A new earth is dawning upon the horizon. Earth changes. Earth changes. Earth changes.
And that's Michael Horn, the official media representative for Billy Horn, who wrote that, and it's called Earth Changes. Makes a lot of sense. Exonation, my guest this hour is Dakota Fransden. His website is baldandbonkers.net, and you're listening to us right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. Dakota, when you've gone and met your star family, do you talk about politics? Do you talk about their society, how it differs from ours? What do you talk about, and what can you share with us and give us an insight into what they experience as ETs visiting this planet?
A lot of what they share with me, when it comes to, where do I start? When it comes to, say, for example, the part of the Pleiades I came from, there's this association that just because it's tall and blonde and good looking, that they're the good guys. They're the ones that are wanting to help us. The planet where I come from was not exactly known to be very nice. In fact, it's speculated that that particular race of Pleiadians actually assisted the Nazis in the Second World War.
Okay.
And that there's actually a bit of a regime change going on to try to eliminate the influences that caused that, which is why I had to wait it out before I can go back home, because apparently I raised some hell and killed some high-profile people when I left. So...
Now, was that in this existence, in this lifetime, or a past lifetime?
I guess you would count it as a past lifetime, but the consequences could carry over into this one.
Okay, so explain to me how this worked, that you did something so horrific in a past lifetime on another planet, another star system, and yet here you are on planet Earth remembering all of this with a star family coming to visit you.
What had happened was that I basically defected from the regime. There was a heavy draconian influence back home, and I caught one of the royals about to eat some children. Something about seeing that firsthand made me snap, start attacking the thing. Then as I managed to get the kids away and got them to an escape pod, the thing got its head stuck in the hatch of this craft that we commandeered, and we used security overrides to rip its head off. Being that is what transpired, I couldn't go home because that would put myself and family members I still had back there in jeopardy. So I had to either find a new planet to reside or join up, like I said, with the Galactic Federation, where I could potentially receive training, help out other worlds who may be falling under the same patterns that led to what happened on my home world to take place, and try to prevent it from ever happening.
Have you met any of your former family, your family, over the years?
I have.
And what is that like? I'm sure they must miss you. Do they ask you to come back home? Do they bring you up to speed of what is happening on your home planet?
Because of how things fell out, they didn't exactly respond well to what I did, so I was cut out for a bit, but they are wanting to mend bridges here soon. Apparently, they haven't kept in touch directly with me, but apparently my father from up there has come down to basically check on me, try to help raise me as much as he could to make up for what happened. And when he went back, he filled in the rest of the family that I was still alive, technically, and still out there.
So when you had this encounter with the creature that you killed, were you in the military? Were you in some sort of law enforcement, or were you just a citizen of a different world?
I was a lone ranking soldier out on night patrol.
Okay.
The way their government works can be compared to North Korea, except with space dragons.
Okay. And how many different species of aliens existed on your planet at the time?
There was at least 3 main gene groups, I guess you can call them. It gets a little bit more complicated because they have an understanding of genetics and DNA to be able to crossbreed just about anything they want. But there were species of Greys, there were species of Nordics, as well as reptilians / Dracos.
Mm-hmm. Wow. How do you deal with everything that happens in your life with having your feet in more than one universe? One reality, one dimension. How do you do it?
I question my sanity just about every day, but I've come to a point where I've started to accept that, okay, yes, something is happening. Best to just roll with the punches as they go than try to process everything the second I have a chance to breathe.
How does your star family life and your family life here on this planet get along? Like, how do you do it?
A lot of my family down here, they know that something is weird, and I know they watch the shows, they've read some of the books I've put out, so they're aware that something is going on, but they haven't had the same level of experience that I have to really be able to accept the idea of how complex it really is.
Wouldn't it be to your advantage just to sit them down and say, Mom, Dad, Uncle Joe, Aunt Barbara, I'm going to tell you something here that you may think is a little wild and, off the wall, but this is the truth. And sit down and explain it to them. How do you think they would react?
There was actually an effort to try to slowly introduce the idea. With my mother. I managed to talk with my son at one point and said, I'm still trying to understand everything that's going on, but would you be willing to do like a little experiment to see what would happen? We said, all right, what are you thinking? I said, if you get the chance and it doesn't get you in any trouble or anything, can you say hi to your grandma? And I figured the idea behind this experiment was to see if I could somehow trigger a sighting with someone that is aware that something is going on, but not aware enough to be completely biased as to what it may be. So I decided to choose my mother because she actually has contacts within local law enforcement, and she's been helping me feed me information on whenever they've had any mass sightings in the area in the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
After talking with my son, he said, "Okay, no problem. Just give it about a couple days." 2 days go by. I'm recording a live show, and my mother goes to text me saying, "I know this is probably going to sound stupid, but I just saw this green light hovering over the store on my way to work."
And the significance of the green light hovering over the store is what?
It seemed like confirmation that my son was actually talking to me, and he was able to follow through on triggering some sort of encounter. Because the way she described the green light was very similar to the video of the incident in Las Vegas at the beginning of the year, where that family said that they had something crash in their backyard, and
Mm-hmm.
the police actually caught body cam footage of something flying away.
Right.
It was a very similar green light that was just stationary.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got about 30 seconds before I have to go to my break. And I have to ask you this. Were you ever able to bring back a souvenir or something that you could show people and say, "Look, you think I'm pulling your leg with this story? Check this out." And show them something that you might have been able to get from either your family or from one of your trips in a UFO or something to collaborate your story.
The closest I've been able to get was a couple of incidents where I caught a craft leaving the area as I was being dropped off. Because apparently there's rules against trying to take souvenirs.
All right, stand by, my friend. We've got to take our final break. Exo Nation, our guest this hour is Dakota Fransden. His website, baldandbonkers.net. We'll both be back as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone. Don't forget, we have another hour after this hour. That's right, 2 hours now, from 10 p.m. until midnight, right here with yours truly, Rob McConnell on Classic 1220, classic1220.ca.
Oh, prophets of doom, it sounds like disaster is your favorite tune. If it makes you
I see you each morning, and in silence I say, pretty lady, I love you, but I know there's no way that you'd consider my love, girl, 'cause you don't have the time. So I try to conceal it, so you can't read my mind.
And welcome back, everyone. Wow, that brings back a lot of memories. I had the pleasure of working with Skip Brokaw, the drummer and lead singer of Lighthouse, when I was at CJBK in London doing the X Zone radio show from there. A great guy, and he is sadly missed. Unfortunately, Skip passed away not that long ago, but he will always be remembered by yours truly and all the great people at CJBK. Seems that we're here for a good time, not for a long time, doesn't it? No souvenirs. They don't have a souvenir shop on a UFO. My God, they should take examples from all the different cruise lines here on Earth. That's all they have are souvenir shops all over the place.
I know.
Yeah.
Trust me. I wish I could have something, even if I were to get like Neuralink and be able to upload the memories onto my computer so I could show physical video. I wish I had that. It drives me crazy.
How do you deal with skepticism?
Over the years, I've simply had to learn to accept that I know my story is weird, and there's going to be some people that just don't believe. They wouldn't believe even if they saw a UFO land right in front of them. They're so hard-headed. It's just to roll with it, and if any of the skeptics want to try to offer up any counterpoints, because sometimes they may seem like they're being pricks about when they try to debunk things, but they might make some very valid points.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that will help me be able to investigate these things further, because maybe it's something I didn't think to consider in order to rule out anything natural.
You know, on this planet, everybody has to work. There are policemen, there are firemen, there are doctors, there are construction workers, there's laborers, there's transport drivers, and so on and so forth. On the planet that your family comes from, what professions are they doing in order to, provide for themselves?
A lot of the planets that are linked up with the Federation, they actually have similar, a kind of a universal credit system. Yes, very similar to Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
But technically, where they're from, they technically don't even have to work for a living. Everything is made available for free, or there's also an exchange system like how it was here before we had the invention of money.
When you see your family, are they what kind of clothes are they wearing? Do their clothes resemble ours, or are they wearing a fashion and a material that would easily identify them as not from around here?
They are able to wear clothes that are very similar to ours. They do have, in spite of our earlier remarks about, not being able to bring back souvenirs, they have little shopping malls that they can get clothes from. But while they are officially on duty, they have these tight jumpsuits that are able to help their bodies acclimate to various different environments they may come from.
So
there's also a bit of a color coding system to tell what species they are.
So the suit they wear is something like the G suits that our fighter pilots would wear.
Much more advanced, but yes.
Why is it then, if these ETs are so advanced, and this is a question I always ask people who I have the opportunity of talking to who have had the ability to contact or speak with ETs, why don't they come here, land, and help us get this planet back into order? I mean, I understand that there might be a non-interference clause in the Federation, but we're on the brink of self-destruction here. Why can't they help us?
They have been helping us by trying to work with people in positions of higher authority. And in spite of all the insanity that's going on, it sounds like the good guys are winning.
How? Like, the world is, look what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. Look what's happening in the Middle East. Look at the hunger. Look at the state of our economies, the food crisis, the water crisis, what we're doing to the atmosphere. How can this be positive, my friend?
Something that I question all the time, and naturally when I go to talk with people who are much more experienced with this type of stuff than I am, they always get this response of just wait and see. But as far as why they can't just come down here and fix all of our problems, if they have all these magnificent technologies that can help them traverse the stars without having to stop for repairs or supplies or anything like that, it's because the best way I know to explain it is that our world is often seen like that one relative who always screws up their life because they expect someone to bail them out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm positive that on the dark side of the moon is a gigantic sign that says "Earth ahead, turn around now."
Can you blame them?
No, I can't. And I've often said that Earth is the Botany Bay of the universe. You know, as we shipped our prisoners from the colonies to Australia, and that is how the Botany Bay was found. Maybe that's what this planet is all about. I don't know. I wish I knew, because you're not the only person who is perplexed about the way things are run, my friend. You're not. Mm-hmm. There's so many questions, and for every question that is answered, you have 100 more questions. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep it all together, and yet you do. What part of this big jigsaw puzzle, Dakota, do you think that you are supposed to play?
Just to simply help people tell their story. And if there comes a situation where things are about to get ugly and we need to put up a fight, we put up a fight. But helping people realize that we can't fix all the problems that are going on until we are actually able to speak freely about it. One thing that always kind of perplexes me, almost to the point gets to be irritating, is that there's a lot of people that look at this UFO phenomenon. They go to some of the more exotic, truthers, quote unquote, out there, and they have this dogma about it that makes it to where they're trying to paint it because, they're in the know, they know that the alleged truths about the world, that somehow they're more special than everybody else. No, we still got to try to figure out how to help out everybody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you
We're
think
not going to be able to move forward until everybody gets their head out of their hind end.
Do you think there's a spiritual connection here? Like, I don't mean as in spiritual church and so on. I mean spirits, demons, angels. That these are all part of the scenario that we're entangled with.
There is actually a lot of overlap when it comes to ETE, UFO, and spirit phenomenon, to where you have to sit back and wonder how much of what we know in religion of angel encounters with demons were not in fact misidentified ETs, because that's all people knew how to describe the situation. They didn't know that it was ETs coming from space. All they knew was that these were some sort of angels or gods coming down from the sky. They didn't know any better.
How close do you think we are to getting the answers? Are we close to disclosure?
If the way things are going right now, allegedly, big emphasis on allegedly, we should be seeing something big happen by the middle of next year.
When you say something big happening, are you talking about proof positive that they, and I mean the ETs, are real?
And then they're getting ready to show up in mass. We already have government officials coming out and saying that, yes, this stuff is happening. Yes, there's contact with non-human intelligences. But as far as something big, they may be getting ready to show themselves. And we're probably going to be seeing even bigger spikes in UFO sightings.
Dakota, I've got about a minute and a half left. What are your final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to share with the Exo Nation tonight?
One thing I always tell people is that, yes, all these things sound crazy, but simply just wait and see what happens. If anything, the last few years have shown us is that nothing is truly impossible anymore. No matter what situation you might find yourself in, or if you feel like everything going on in the world is on the brink, pushing us to the brink of self-destruction, just wait it out. Do your best to be a decent person. You can't fix the world by yourself. You can only focus in on yourself and wait and see what happens as everybody else is doing it. It's going to get better in the end.
Dakota, let our listeners know how they can find out more about you and how they can listen to your show.
You can find everything related to Bald and Bonkers on our website, www.baldandbonkers.net. We have all the information about where you can find the show, all the different projects we have coming up, different books we help sell, and if you're looking to maybe get syndicated with our programs that we have coming up, we'd be more than happy to hear you out. We have stuff to help people release books, music. We're working into movies here soon. We want to help as many people tell their story.
Once again, it's always great talking to you. I wish you much success, my friend, and I keep in touch. I think you're onto something here, and I wish you the best of luck.
Oh, thank you.
Exo Nation, our guest this hour has been Dakota Fransden, and once again, his website is baldandbonkers.net. I'll be back on the other side of this break at the top of the hour as the X-Zone continues here into hour number 2 from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca. Now, if you've had an experience that you would like to share with us, or if you've had an experience or encounter and you don't know who to go to for help, write me an email, xzone@classic1220.ca, and we will do our very best to put you in touch with people who can help you, people who are serious, people who understand, as well as being a place where people will dare to believe and dare to be heard. I'm Rob McConnell. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.